Ask a repair shop off the record and you'll hear the same thing every time. Kubota parts cost less than John Deere parts, and the labor to install them runs cheaper too. That alone is worth pausing on. But here's the part that actually surprised me. One brand on this list can lift nearly 2.5 times what Deere's own compact tractor lifts at a similar horsepower for thousands less. And the last tractor on this list might be the closest thing to a John Deere without the John Deere name on the hood, backed by lower parts costs and lower labor rates for as long as you own it. These are 5 tractor brands worth a serious look next to John Deere. They can save you money when you buy, and again, when something finally breaks. Before the list starts, let's clear up something the tractor industry does not like to talk about. A bigger price tag does not always mean a stronger hydraulic system. It does not always mean a tougher frame or a longer-lasting engine. Deere often costs more than other brands with very similar specs. Some owners and shop workers have a nickname for that price gap. They call it the green paint tax. You are not always paying extra for a better transmission. Sometimes you are just paying extra for the color and the badge on the hood. The same trick shows up in other ways too. A machine gets called commercial grade, even though it was built for weekend mowing. A small cosmetic update gets marketed like a whole new tractor. Shops that work on these machines every week have their own name for what it costs to fix a Deere. Some call it the John Deere tax. It shows up every time you need a filter, a hydraulic hose, or a simple weekend repair. Keep both of those names in mind. They explain a lot of what is coming next. Start with LS Tractor. This brand has one of the biggest advertised price gaps on the list. Dealers lean on that gap hard in the sales pitch. LS also backs its tractors with a 6-year powertrain warranty as standard. That comes with 2 years of bumper-to-bumper coverage on top. Some Deere dealers only match that kind of coverage through a paid extended plan. That extra standard coverage is a real selling point. It works on a lot of first-time buyers. But here is what actually matters once the tractor sits in your yard. LS tractors often use engines from outside makers like Mitsubishi or Perkins. That can keep parts cheaper and easier to find. It compares well to some of Deere's more closed-off systems. Owner forums are full of stories about LS tractors running for years with only small issues. That kind of feedback does not happen by accident. A dealer cannot fake years of real-world use. One thing really decides whether LS is right for you: your local dealer. If you have a solid LS dealer nearby who answers the phone and keeps parts in stock, this tractor can deliver real savings without cutting corners. If your nearest dealer is an hour away and slow to call back, this becomes the riskiest pick on the list, no matter how good the tractor looks on paper. Know your dealer before you sign anything. This tractor tends to fit the do-it-yourself landowner best. That is someone who is fine ordering a part online and doing the work in the driveway. A first-time buyer who wants everything handled for them might feel more exposed here. That is especially true compared to someone who already knows how to check a dealer's reputation. One phone call can make the difference between a great deal and a headache. Check reviews. Ask how fast parts actually ship. Because the engines are simple and widely used, most attachments hook up easily. You usually will not need a special adapter. That can keep your loader, box blade, and mower deck costs lower too. Next is a name most homeowners have never seriously considered. That alone is the problem. TYM barely gets cross-shopped against Deere, so it almost never gets a fair look once a buyer is standing on the lot with a Deere salesman talking. That is a mistake. The spec sheet tells a different story once you put the numbers side by side. Look at the TYM 2515 next to the John Deere 2025R. These are two tractors in the same general size class. The TYM 2515 has a 24 horsepower engine with 21 horsepower at the PTO. The 2025R has a 23.9 horsepower engine with 17.2 horsepower at the PTO. The lift power gap is even bigger. The TYM 2515 can lift up to 2,425 pounds. The 2025R tops out around 915 pounds. That is not a small gap. On price, TYM is not always the cheaper option, model for model. It is worth comparing real dealer quotes on the exact models you want. Do not just assume a flat discount, and know there is one honest trade-off worth knowing before you get excited. Parts turnaround on TYM has historically run a bit slower than the big two brands, but the company has been working to build out its parts network in recent years. That gap keeps closing. Picture a homeowner who just needs a dependable machine for mowing and light loader work. If that is you, and you are not going to need a part delivered the same morning, TYM is quietly one of the smartest picks on this list. It is also one of the most overlooked. Southern owners dealing with thick summer brush get the same benefit as northern owners clearing gravel drives after a heavy snow. You get a machine that can outwork its size class. You do not have to pay extra just for a name you already know from a highway billboard or a ball game commercial. That extra lift power is not just a number on paper. It means TYM can handle a heavier bucket load or a bigger round bale. You will not need to step up to a pricier tractor class just to get the job done. Before the next tractor, here is something worth keeping in your back pocket. There is a guide called the 20-Year Compact Tractor Buying Guide. It walks you through how to shop for a tractor that will actually hold up. It shows you exactly what to check before you sign anything at the dealer. It helps you avoid getting talked into more machine or the wrong machine than you actually need. It covers what to look for under the hood. It shows which questions expose a bad dealer. And it helps you walk away without feeling pressured into a bigger machine than your property really needs. The link is right below this video if that sounds useful to you. Now, for Massey Ferguson. This is the legacy name that quietly undercuts Deere on both price and repair simplicity. Most buyers walk right past it without a second look. Massey carries the same kind of heritage weight that Deere leans on so heavily in its own marketing. It is backed by AGCO, one of the largest farm equipment makers in the world. AGCO earns billions of dollars a year and employs tens of thousands of people. That backing means real engineering resources behind the badge. It is not just a name that has been around a long time. Where Massey tends to pull ahead is in day-to-day ownership. That is what matters 2 or 3 seasons in, long after the sale is done. Many owners and independent shops describe Massey Ferguson as easier to work on yourself. It has fewer proprietary systems and simpler hydraulic layouts. Repair steps are also easier to find instead of locked behind a dealer login screen. On top of that, Massey typically prices below comparable Deere models for similar horsepower and capability. If you like doing your own wrenching on a Saturday morning and do not want to fight a computer system just to change a filter, Massey Ferguson deserves a serious, honest look before you write it off as an old name. It tends to make the most sense for a property owner who has been around equipment for years. That owner already knows the value of a machine that does not fight back every time you pop the hood. It may make less sense for someone buying their very first tractor who wants the dealer to handle every detail. Either way, the price gap alone is worth a phone call before signing anywhere else. AGCO parts move through a large global network. That means tracking down something less common years after the warranty ends tends to be easier than owners expect going in. From here on, these are the two brands that sit right next to John Deere on the same dealer lot. They are in the same size class, chasing the same buyer. No more comparing an underdog to the leader. This is where the real head-to-head comparison happens. This is where the biggest savings on this list are hiding in plain sight. Kioti is a brand that independent owner forums and buying guides keep landing on together. That is rare in an industry full of conflicting opinions. Dealers already pitch it as the same size tractor for several $1,000s less. Owner reports tend to back that pitch up instead of undercutting it. Owner forums include long-term stories. Some tractors run well past 1,000 hours with only minor issues. Owners often describe getting parts as easy as a phone call. Here is a common point made by dealers and owners. When you compare Kioti to Deere at the compact tractor level, Deere's biggest real advantage is not the machine itself. It is the size of the dealer network and the resale number down the road. That is very different from saying one tractor is simply built better than the other. It is worth sitting with that for a second. If you can plan a service appointment ahead of time, instead of needing a part delivered the same morning, Kioti can give you a genuinely comparable machine for meaningfully less money. It is backed by an ownership record that tends to hold up well. That is true across hot southern summers and wet northern springs alike. That kind of consistency across different climates and owners is what separates a real value brand from one that just talks a good game in its own ads. Kioti is not chasing the flashiest badge on the hood. It is chasing owners who plan ahead and order what they need before they need it. Those owners would rather save several $1,000s than pay for a name they can already get close to for less. That is not settling for less tractor. That is refusing to overpay for the same job getting done on your property. Kioti's parent company, Dong, builds most of its own diesel engines instead of outsourcing them. A few specialty model lines still use engines from other suppliers, though. Either way, that close bond with its engine maker is one more reason parts and service tend to stay predictable for years. And that brings us to Kubota. This tractor sits on almost every dealer lot right next to John Deere. It is in the same size class at a similar price point. That makes it the easiest first comparison any buyer will make. Here is where the numbers get hard to ignore. Kubota owners and independent shops widely report that Kubota's factory parts price lower than Deere's. They also report that the labor rate at most independent shops runs lower too. Kubota tractors are often described as having fewer computer systems locked to the dealer. That means more of the routine maintenance is something you can do yourself in your own barn or shop. You will not always need a dealer's special tool just to clear a basic error code. This is the tractor that makes the John Deere tax hard to ignore once you see it side by side. Put the same job in front of both machines. A filter change, a hydraulic hose, a basic repair. The price difference can add up fast. Kubota is not the flashiest name on this list. It does not need to be, because flashy was never really the point here. It is simply one of the strongest overall cases here for real savings without giving up real quality. That is exactly why it earns the final spot on this list. Whether you are mowing 2 acres in Georgia heat or clearing a gravel drive after a Michigan snowstorm, the math works the same every season. Lower parts pricing and lower labor rates do not stop once the warranty runs out. they just get more valuable. That is exactly when Deere owners start feeling the real cost of the name on the hood. It happens one filter change and one hydraulic hose at a time, year after year, long after the sales pitch is forgotten. Kubota is also widely seen as holding its resale value well compared to many other imported brands. So even the exit plan on this tractor tends to work in your favor. It is not just the years you actually spend using it. Here is what all 5 of these brands show once you put them side by side with John Deere. That extra money at the Deere price point does not always buy you a tougher frame or a stronger hydraulic pump. Sometimes it buys you a bigger dealer network and a higher resale number a decade from now. Think about a homeowner working a few acres of grass, brush, and gravel. For that owner, the trade-off may not be worth what it costs up front. A smart buyer prices out the whole picture before ever setting foot on a lot. Do not just look at the sticker. Look at the parts cost, the labor rate, and how far the nearest dealer actually is from your driveway. Those 3 numbers can tell you more about what you will really spend than any horsepower rating ever will. None of the 5 brands on this list are a downgrade. They are simply an honest alternative to the same kind of tractor you were already about to buy. You just are not paying extra for a badge on the hood. Once you see that clearly, it is hard to walk onto a lot and unsee it again. The buyers who save the most money over the life of a tractor are usually not the ones chasing the biggest horsepower number on the spec sheet. They are the ones who ask about the repair bill first. They ask that before anything else the salesman wants to talk about. Now you know what to ask before your next trip to the dealer. You know which questions actually matter once you are standing in front of a salesman. Drop a comment and let everyone know which of these 5 brands you would actually put in your own barn. Tell us why that one earned your trust over the rest.